Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the SMA Victor Podcast. I am your host, Victor, aka Victor the Inspiration. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about when was the first medical treatment breakthrough for the SMA community. Let's get right into it. We will be utilizing ChatGPT as our co-host. ChatGPT, today you are going to be my co-host for today's episode, and we are going to be talking about the topic, when was the first medical treatment breakthrough for the SMA community?
Absolutely, Victor. I'm on board. We can definitely dive into that topic. I'll be your co-host voice for this episode, and we'll explore when the SMA community saw its first big medical treatment breakthrough. Let's get started whenever you're ready.
Yeah, so let's begin. So it says the first major breakthrough for the SMA Spinal Muscular Atrophy community was the FDA approval of Spinraza on December 23rd, 2016, marking the first treatment to target the underlying genetic cause of the disease by increasing survival motor neuron SMN protein. This landmark approval by the FDA followed by years of research, particularly by scientists Adrian Craner and Frank Bennett, and had paved the way for subsequent therapies like Zolgensma and Evrysdi.
That's a great starting point, Victor. So let's dig into that. As your co-host, I'll say absolutely. The approval of Spinraza back in December 2016 was a genuine game changer for the SMA community. It was the first time there was a treatment that actually went to the root of the genetic issue and boosted the SMN protein, which is crucial for those motor neurons. And like you mentioned, it really opened the door for other therapies down the line, things like Zolgensma and Evrysdi that came afterward. So it's a pretty exciting milestone to chat about.
Yeah, it says the significance about it is it was the first FDA-approved therapy for SMA, addressing the genetic root of the disease by helping the SMN2 gene produce more functional SMN protein. ChatGPT, can you explain for the audience out there who is unfamiliar with Spinraza and SMA and explain can you explain the significance about this huge milestone breakthrough?
Absolutely, Victor. I'd be happy to explain that for everyone listening. So for those who might not be familiar, Spinraza is this groundbreaking treatment because it was the first time doctors had a way to actually address the genetic cause of spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA. Now, SMA is a condition where people have a deficiency in a protein called SMN, which is crucial for motor neurons. Without enough of this protein, those motor neurons don't survive well, and that leads to muscle weakness. So what Spinraza does is it helps the body produce more of that SMN protein by tweaking how the SMN2 gene works. And that was a huge deal because it was the first time there was an FDA-approved therapy that really changed the outlook for people with SMA. In other words, this milestone meant that families and individuals who had been waiting for any kind of treatment finally had a real option that can slow down the progression of the disease. It paved the way for newer treatments like Zolgensma and Evrysdi and really marked the beginning of a new era for the SMA community.
I remember the first ever breakthrough when this actually happened. I was home from school because I was in school at the time. Going to high school. I think I was a junior in high school. And I remember I ended up staying home that day because my wheelchair was in the shop being worked on. So when my wheelchair was being worked on, of course I'm in bed and I didn't have a secondary wheelchair to be mobilized. So I was just stuck in bed waiting for my chair to get done being in the shop, which was several hours. And I remember just getting a phone call of my pediatrician doctor at the time. And, I just heard mom crying over the phone. And at first I didn't know exactly what was going on. And then she walked into the room and she said, "Son, it's Dr. David." And she was like, there's been it was along the lines of, it's not a cure, but there's a treatment available and they want you to do lab work to see if you would be a potential candidate. And long story short, I ended up being a candidate. Of course, it was an emotional moment. And, the rest is history.
Wow, Victor, that's a really powerful personal memory, and I appreciate you sharing that. It's incredible to think about how that day must have felt, just being at home because of the wheelchair situation and then suddenly getting that kind of life-changing phone call. It really does highlight just how monumental that first treatment was, not just on a medical level, but on a deeply personal and emotional level for so many people and families. So for everyone listening, that's the kind of significance we're talking about. It wasn't just a medical milestone. It was a moment that really brought hope right into people's homes, into their lives, and kind of changed the trajectory of what living with SMA could look like. And your story really brings that to life. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, it was as you can imagine, it was like huge, to go from one day to no treatments available or let alone cure. Of course, when you hear such news like that, it's it means a lot, to go from nothing being available to, hey, there's something available. It's a huge significant breakthrough. So what I have here on the screen, and when I look up like this, I'm looking at my other second monitor here so I can see what you guys see. And on December 23rd, this article was published by curesma.org, which is a phenomenal organization within the SMA community. And it says, "We are thrilled to see our community's efforts culminate in the approval of Spinraza, not only the first ever approved treatment for this disease, but also one that addresses the underlying genetic cause of SMA. This has been a story of all groups, families, researchers, companies, and the FDA working together as one community to reach this amazing milestone. We are especially pleased that the sophisticated and rigorous clinical development plan that Biogen and Ineos chose to implement has resulted in a broad label that will now give so many patients access." This is huge. I remember this during this time too. I remember saying Christmas came early this year. But yeah, that's really, really cool.
Absolutely, Victor. I mean, it really is one of those moments where you can feel the weight of the breakthrough. It's like you said, going from having absolutely no treatment options to suddenly knowing there's something that can really address the genetic cause. It's like a door opening that was never there before. And I love that you pointed out that this was really a whole community effort. Families, researchers, organizations like Cure SMA, and of course the FDA all kind of pulling together. It really shows how much a united effort can achieve. And I can totally see why you'd say Christmas came early that year. It must have felt like a gift of hope, not just for you, but for so many in the community. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah, it was huge. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast episode. I know I haven't. I'm starting to get back into it, but I remember I think I missed like 2-3 weeks or so here, and I'm starting to pick up momentum again and get back into it. And I'm trying trying something a little bit different with my style. I forgot to do it on this one, but on the next episode I will be getting back into it. But essentially I'm gonna be able to go back and forth like this and share my screen to kind of change the transition a little bit, make it more make the video a little bit more engaging. But you guys will see that within the next episode. And but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I talked about this, I feel like, in another episode before, whether it was an animated video that my team helped me produce or whether it was a podcast episode. I can't quite remember, but I feel like I talked about this before, but I had it in my notes to talk about it. And usually when I have a topic in mind, I remove it after I upload the content. But it was still there, so maybe I thought I did, or maybe I got interrupted, so I scrapped the video. I can't exactly remember, but yeah. So if this episode is a bit duplicated, I genuinely apologize. But I hope you guys gained value from today's episode. I thought it would be a good one to know when was the first medical treatment breakthrough for the SMA community. This channel is all about spreading SMA awareness. I personally have SMA type 2, so, it's a pretty cool journey to be able to spread awareness and in addition to learn about my own condition as well. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Please subscribe if you are new. We are so close to reaching 100 subscribers on this YouTube channel, which would be an amazing milestone. At the time of this recording, it is currently January 6th, which is the day before my birthday, and excuse me, and we currently have 96 amazing subscribers. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And as always, remember, grow through what you go through. Much love.